The scene kicks off in a rain-soaked alley, neon lights bouncing off puddles in a sickly red and green glow. Barry Malone, bones to his friends and a man without many friends, darts between trash cans, breath coming in sharp bursts. His leather jacket is torn, slicked with rain and sweat, and he's clutching a brass pocket watch like it's his last lifeline. The gunman's footsteps echo behind him, getting closer with each shot. One bullet ricochets off the metal dumpster beside Barry, tearing a line of fire across his cheek. Blood mingles with the rain as he stumbles, but pushes on, heart hammering like a jackhammer. Above, the neon V of a rundown hotel sign fizzles and sparks, casting eerie flashes across the alley as another volley of bullets shatters glass around it, raining shards that glint like diamonds. Suddenly, one of the gunmen lobs a grenade.
Barry's instincts kick in and he throws himself behind a stack of crates just as the alley erupts in a deafening roar. Grapple and smoke fill the air, the shockwave knocking him flat. Ears ringing, he scrambles to his feet, disoriented but alive. He glances back, catching a glimpse of the taller figure's face. Cold, calculating, and uncomfortably familiar.
The man raises his hand, but it isn't a gun he's holding. Instead, a strange brass pocket watch glints in his grasp. "Time's up," the figure says, voice barely audible over the ringing in Barry's ears.
There's a click. The watch ticks, its hands spinning wildly, and the world warps around Barry, folding in on itself in a chaotic blur of colors and shapes. His scream is cut short as he vanishes into the twisting void. Barry Bones Malone, ex-con and underground paranormal investigator, sits at his favorite pub, cradling a whiskey. Opposite him, his client, a slick-looking geezer in a sharp suit and an accent thicker than London fog, leans in with a mischievous grin. He slides a photo of an old brass pocket watch across the table.
A bloody watch, mate. You having a laugh? I thought you were paying me for something worth my time.
The client chuckles, tapping the photo. Well, that depends. You got the bollocks for it?
Barry rolls his eyes, taking a swig. For enough cash, I've got bollocks for anything. But what's so special about this shiny bit of tat?
The client leans in close, voice dropping. This stat messes with time itself, but the trick is if it clicks over an hour, he trails off, raising his eyebrows in a way that makes Barry uncomfortable.
Barry scoffs, but his curiosity is piqued. Time twisting, you say? Right. And I'm the bloody queen.
The client grins slyly. All you gotta do, Bones, is deliver it by midnight. Simple, eh?
Barry shrugs, flashing a crooked grin. As long as I'm not babysitting it past tea time, we're golden. Now about that cash.
In a dim, musty antique shop, Barry pushes open the door, the bell jangling in a way that feels too loud for the eerily quiet space. The air is thick with dust, mingling with the scent of something vaguely medicinal, like old leather mixed with a splash of formaldehyde. Shelves groan under the weight of strange relics, dusty porcelain dolls, rusted knives, taxidermied animals that look a bit too lifelike. Barry's eyes roam over the clutter until he spots it, the pocket watch. It sits on a shelf wedged between a cracked teapot and a tarnished candelabra, gleaming as though it's waiting for him. The brass looks almost warm, inviting him to reach out, but the intricate carvings on its surface seem to move, twisting subtly if he stares too long.
"Careful with that one," a raspy voice breaks the silence.
Barry turns to see the shopkeeper, an old man with spectacles perched precariously on his nose, watching him intently.
Barry smirks, reaching for the watch. What's the matter? It gonna bite?
The old man narrows his eyes. "If you're lucky, that thing's cursed 7 different ways to Sunday. Just taking it out of here, you're playing roulette with your soul, mate."
Barry shrugs, rolling his eyes. Yeah, well, it ain't my soul that's buying it. Just another day in paradise, eh?
The shopkeeper mutters. "Paradise, if you think that's paradise, son, you're daft as a brush."
Daft? Nah, I'm just getting paid, mate. Good for the soul, that, he says, slipping the watch into his pocket, as the shopkeeper's look grows darker.
Barry rolls his eyes and pockets the watch. As he leaves the store, he can't shake the feeling of being watched.
Barry sits across from Sarah in a dingy cafe, the two of them barely fitting in the tight booth. Sarah, his former partner turned occasional rival, has her signature smirk on, stirring her tea with that same smug look she's had since they started this paranormal game together. "So," she says, barely glancing up, "you're chasing a cursed watch for a bloke who probably sold his own mum for a tenner?"
Barry rolls his eyes.
"Not every job's a grand adventure, love. Some of us need to eat. And besides, this client's paying top dollar."
She snorts.
"Yeah, till he has you 6 feet under. I know this guy. Let's just say he's the type that hires blokes to do his dirty work, then forgets to pay their hospital bill."
Barry shrugs.
"Look, a man's gotta earn his bread somehow. I'm not exactly rolling in posh gigs here. And what do you care anyway?"
She narrows her eyes, her tone softening, just barely.
Because you've got the survival instincts of a drunk lemming, and I'm sick of pulling your arse out of fires.
He chuckles, lighting a cigarette.
Well, we're in luck, 'cause this time I'm fireproof. I'll handle the watch, pocket the cash, and be on my merry way.
Sarah gives him a knowing look.
Yeah? You'll be lucky if you keep your bloody marbles intact. Just don't say I didn't warn you, yeah?
She's not wrong, Barry knows. He's heard the rumors of creatures beyond the mortal plane, entities that twist the fabric of reality. But he pushes the thoughts away. A job's a job, and besides, he needs the cash. Barry's pulse pounds as he rounds a corner, clutching the pocket watch in his hand. It feels heavier now, almost as if it's pulling him down with every second that ticks by. Shadows close in around him, and he can feel the prickling sensation of something watching, something that's closer than it should be. The gunmen are right on his heels, moving with eerie, inhuman precision, their steps silent as death itself. He risks a glance over his shoulder, heart hammering faster. Their faces are blank, eyes cold, and worst of all, focused solely on him. One of them raises his arm, and Barry feels his blood turn to ice as he realizes they're aiming. His grip tightens on the watch. It's his only way out, but as he feels the second hand tick over, he knows he's out of time. Barry snaps awake in a strange room, sprawled on a musty, faded sofa that smells of damp and something sickly sweet like decaying flowers. His head throbs as he sits up, realizing he's not alone. Shadows dance across the walls in unnatural patterns, cast by a single flickering candle. In the corner of the room, a tall figure sits, watching him with unsettling intensity. The man's face is shrouded in shadow, but his eyes catch the candlelight, a cold, gleaming stare that feels inhuman.
Welcome back, the figure says, his voice raspy, like fingernails scraping across a chalkboard.
Barry's stomach twists as he recognizes the man, a face he's only seen in grainy black and white photos, people rumored to have disappeared decades ago.
You're caught in the loop, the man murmurs, slowly lifting an identical pocket watch. Time. It has a way of keeping what belongs to it.
Barry's eyes dart to the watch in his hand.
Time isn't linear, the man replies, smiling darkly. You've crossed paths with one of the oldest artifacts out there. It keeps pulling you back to when it thinks you should have stopped.
Is he in some kind of hellish time trap? Chapter 7. Back to the beginning. Barry finds himself back in the pub, sitting across from the client, only this time he knows what's coming. His hand clenches the watch in his pocket, and a wild idea crosses his mind. If he can outwit the artifact, maybe he can escape.
I don't suppose you'd know how to handle a haunted.
I'll take the job, Barry interrupts, forcing a smile as he slides the watch across the table. The client's eyes narrow in surprise. This time Barry's bet is that the curse follows the person who wants it most. With a chilling click, the watch strikes midnight. The client's grin vanishes as he looks down, realizing he's holding the cursed artifact himself. For a split second, his face contorts with fear.
You clever bastard.
He whispers just before the world warps around him, pulling him into the void of his own twisted loop. Chapter 8. The Resolution. In the aftermath, Barry sits at the bar, nursing another whiskey. The watch is gone, and for the first time in what feels like ages, he breathes easily. Sarah appears beside him, nodding approvingly.
Seems you finally learned to be careful.
She says, raising her glass.
Or just lucky.
Barry replies, smiling as he clinks his glass to hers. Barry glances over his shoulder at the clock on the wall. For the first time, he doesn't feel like he's running out of time.
Barry's heart races as the shadowy figure lifts the identical pocket watch, its brass glinting ominously in the dim light. You think you're the hunter, don't you?
The figure croons, a twisted smile spreading across his face. But you're just another pawn in a much larger game.
What the hell are you on about? Barry retorts, trying to steady his breath. Who the bloody hell are you?
Someone who was once like you, the figure replies, his eyes narrowing. Eager, greedy, desperate for a quick score. But this watch, it has a mind of its own. It feeds on ambition, on the chaos it creates.
Barry's pulse quickens as the realization sinks in.
You're saying it's controlling all this? The gunman, the curses, me?
Precisely, the figure replies, his voice dripping with condescension. Every time you think you've gained control, it pulls the strings tighter. I was once its master, but I became a mere reflection. A ghost, trapped in this twisted reality. Each tick of that watch chains you closer to your fate. It's been leading you here, to me, to this moment.
What do you want from me? Barry demands, panic clawing at his chest.
The figure chuckles darkly.
You've already given it to me. Your soul, your time. You see, the watch lets you rewrite your history, but it comes at a price. Each time you use it, you lose a piece of yourself. Eventually, you become nothing more than a husk, a shadow.
Barry's mind races as he processes the chilling truth. He remembers the moments that led him here, the rushed decisions, the greed that fueled his pursuits.
So what? I'm just supposed to give it back? You want me to hand over the very thing that's kept me alive?
Not alive, Barry. Stuck in a cycle. The figure's grin widens, revealing teeth that seem too sharp. You must destroy it or become like me, a lifeless echo of your former self. But make no mistake, the watch won't let you go easily. It needs a host.
With a sudden surge of defiance, Barry grips the watch tighter, feeling its weight as it pulsates with energy.
I won't let it take me. I refuse to be another ghost in this nightmare.
The figure's eyes darken and he lunges forward, desperate to reclaim what he's lost. Barry stumbles back, adrenaline coursing through him as he feels the walls of the room shift, the shadows swirling like a dark tempest. The air grows thick, heavy with the weight of 1,000 untold stories. In a moment of clarity, Barry realizes he must act fast. He brings the watch to eye level, watching the second hand spin wildly. With a roar, he smashes it against the edge of the table. Time seems to freeze as the watch shatters, shards of brass exploding like fireworks, sending a shockwave rippling through the room. The shadowy figure lets out a blood-curdling scream as the energy from the watch engulfs him, twisting his form into a swirling mass of darkness. Barry feels a pull, a strong current that threatens to drag him under, but he braces himself, letting go of the weight of the watch. Suddenly, the world around him fractures, reality bending and contorting. The shadows fade, the dark figure disintegrating into nothingness, leaving only the faint echoes of its laughter behind. As the last remnants of the watch dissolve into the air, Barry stumbles backward, breathless. He finds himself back in the alley where it all began, the night still heavy with rain. He's alive, and the weight of the cursed watch is gone. But as he looks around, a nagging doubt creeps in. The world feels different, too quiet, too still. In the distance, a familiar figure appears, emerging from the shadows with a knowing grin. The figure raises an identical pocket watch, and Barry's heart drops as he realizes the cycle may have ended for him, but the watch lives on, ready to ensnare another unsuspecting soul.
Looks like it's time for another round, the figure calls, laughter echoing through the darkened alley.
And with that chilling reminder, Barry knows this fight isn't over. It's only just begun. The rain had finally ceased, leaving a cool mist in the air as Barry stumbled into an old, forgotten library tucked away in a narrow alley. The heavy scent of musty pages enveloped him as he stepped through the door, the bell chiming softly behind him. Dust motes danced in the weak light filtering through grimy windows, illuminating the rows of ancient tomes that seemed to whisper secrets of the past. Barry approached a tattered volume on a pedestal, its leather cover cracked and frayed. He opened it cautiously, revealing yellowed pages filled with bizarre illustrations of clocks and intricate symbols. His heart raced as he skimmed the text, a chilling realization dawning upon him. This watch was more than just a cursed relic. It was a key to a legacy that spanned centuries.
A voice interrupted his thoughts, raspy, yet tinged with excitement. "You've found the Watch of Chronos, haven't you?"
An elderly man appeared from the shadows, his wild hair framing a face lined with years of wisdom and worry.
"It has consumed many before you, trapping their souls in a never-ending cycle."
Barry frowned, glancing up from the book. You know about it, why didn't you warn me?
The old man chuckled, a sound that echoed with both amusement and sadness.
"And missed the thrill of watching someone challenge the threads of time. This watch is said to have been crafted by an ancient civilization that believed they could control destiny itself. But every soul it claims only strengthens its hold over reality."
What do you mean, strengthens its hold? Barry asked, his curiosity piqued.
"The watch is bound by prophecy," the man replied, leaning closer. "There is a chosen one, someone who will either destroy it or become its new master. The last time the watch was destroyed, it reformed into a new shape, ready to ensnare another victim. Each time it gains more power and cunning."
Barry's mind raced.
So, if I don't get rid of it completely, it'll just come back? That's bloody brilliant.
"Indeed," the old man said, his eyes gleaming with an unsettling mix of hope and fear. "But you must know this. The watch is always watching, always waiting for the next opportunity to reclaim what it believes is rightfully its own."
Feeling the weight of destiny heavy upon him, Barry glanced around the library, overwhelmed by the enormity of what lay ahead.
What do I do now?
"You must seek out the fragments," the man urged. "There are pieces of the watch scattered across time, each holding a part of its essence. Collect them and you may have a chance to break the cycle once and for all. But be warned, others will come for you, those who wish to harness its power.
Barry nodded, determination surging within him.
Right then, I'll track them down and I'll put an end to this once and for all.
As he stepped back into the misty streets, Barry felt a shift in the air. The night was filled with possibilities, but lurking beneath was the heavy shadow of the Watch's legacy. With each step, he knew he was heading into uncharted territory, one that would test his resolve and unravel the very fabric of time itself. If you enjoyed Barry's journey through time and destiny, subscribe for more spine-chilling stories. Click the playlist in the top left for more mysteries. And if you're curious about what really happens in an IHOP at midnight, click the video on the screen now. Let's keep the thrills coming. And just as he thought he had a grasp on his fate, the faint chime of a clock echoed in the distance, a reminder that time was never on his side. What happens next? What do you want to see happen in Barry's next journey? Comment below with your ideas, and let's shape the story together.